dancehall, as we know it, has been morphed into an institution loaded by gangsters. And some people might not want to own it. Some artists might not want to accept it. But we can debate that any day and we can present the facts to substantiate that claim. That dancehall has been hijacked by gangsters. A lot of dancehall artists, whole heap of them, were gangsters before they became dancehall artists. A lot of them use dancehall music as an escape route, not from poverty alone, but from gang warfare. Some of them, the music and the dancehall music saved them life. That is the reality. And when you look at what is happening now, when you listen to some of these dancehall artists, you wonder, how come? You start to criticize a government. You start to criticize politicians. I'm going to tell you last week in my commentary, you know, that Jamaican people don't really like politicians. We have no love for politicians. I'm going to repeat it. The last time I was here, I said it. When the vaccine was not the most popular thing in town, Jamaican people said, make the politician take it. And when it became something to save life, them say, no, don't give it to the politicians. That is the love that we show for politicians. Now, when I listen to dancehall artists, my brethren and sisters, me don't want nobody. Me put out a post on social media recently, and I said every single dancehall artist, well, not dancehall artist, but every single gang in Jamaica has some connection to dancehall music. I mean, I'll take it back. Some 350 of them gangs in Jamaica, and every single one of them have a connection to dancehall artists. Every single one. I mean, I'll take it back. Because the evidence is there. You name the gang. If you don't have an artist in there, it have an artist who supply them and support them. Whether by glorifying their behavior or supplying them with ammunition and guns. The evidence is there. It's in the open. And no secret. So some of these very artists who come out now and criticize the government need to take a look in the mirror and ask themselves the question, what have I contributed to the decay in the society? Spragga Benz, ask yourself the question. Now ask it in a crowd. Go in your bathroom, looking at the mirror, man to man, yourself to yourself. Ask yourself the question, have I contributed to the decay in the society? Whether by glorifying gun crime, supporting gun crime, supplying the equipment for gun crime, ask yourself these questions, Spragga. I respect you, I love your music, I listen to your music, I watch your movie. But when you start to become a hypocrite, I cut you loose. Ask yourself the question, what have I done to contribute to the decay in this society? As a dancehall artist, Spragga Benz, that are for you. The same thing can go for Baby Sham. Spragga Benz, you come from Dover Kirk. We know the amount of bloodshed. We know the amount of youths were dead down there. Ask yourself, could I have used my music, my influence, in a better way to prevent the carnage that took place in that community? Ask yourself that question, Spragga Benz. And I could come up the road now. We don't go Spanish Town Road. I could come at a crossroad. And I could come up the street and go down where we are going now. I could go up on the boulevard. And I could go over Sherlock Crescent. For all who don't know the history. I could go over Sherlock. And I could go back to the days when people are dead like dog in a Sherlock. Where were you, Spragga Benz? Ask yourself the question. Go in the mirror. Ask yourself, Could I have used my music and my influence in Sherlock Crescent in a more positive way to save lives? If you live in a glass house, do not throw stones. Because you come out and criticize and you forget you live in the same society and you contribute to the same problem we are faced today. So instead of pointing the finger at the Prime Minister, pointing the finger at politician, why not look in the mirror? Ask yourself the question, Baby Sham. You live at Sherlock for years. When Sherlock and Brook Valley are shelled down the place and people are dead like rice grain, ask yourself the question, where were you? How could you have contributed in a positive way to what was happening there? Ask yourself the question, did I contribute by glorifying the behavior around me? Did I contribute by supplying ammunition and guns? Ask yourself this question. Could I have influenced the youth in a more positive way? Ask yourself these questions. If you live in a glass house, do not throw stones. Gargamel, you just do 10 years of prison for something that has contributed to the gun crime in this country. Drugs is one of the main causes of criminality and murders in this country. You, Buju Banton, Mark Myrie, went to prison for drugs. Cocaine, no ganja, cocaine, hard drugs, and you do your time. And Jamaican society accept you back here. I'm going to show you how hypocritical you are. You came back to Jamaica, Jamaican accept you, we love you because you're for we, irrespective. But when you live in a glass house, Buju, do not throw no stone. You start to criticize and tell people, don't take no vaccine, vaccine this, vaccine that. You came back from incarceration. You did one of the most beautiful tours of the Caribbean, Jamaica, all over. And you also did a tour of Africa. Before your incarceration, you would have traveled to several countries in Africa. And I will bet you my life that many of those countries that you have gone into in Africa, you had to do you had to take a vaccine. You had to be vaccinated before you were allowed to enter. Mr. Vegas, who is also an entertainer, would have charted the same course. So he might talk from experience and him calling out. Him say most of them who have badmouth the government went to Africa and other countries where you had to be vaccinated. You had to be vaccinated before you can enter those countries. Yet you come to tell our people that we mustn't take no vaccine. How is it that we're going to get back to normal life? How is it that we're going to have parties, go to restaurants, socialize with your family and friends? If we don't get the country totally vaccinated, get to herd immunity, which is somewhere in the region of 65 or 70%. How are we going to get there? When we have influential people like you, Buju Myrie, Buju Banton, I tell people not to take vaccine. That is so irresponsible and disrespectful. And hypocritical. Because when you travel to these countries, you don't ask a question. You take your juke down a comprehensive clinic, a Slipend Road, and go on your merry way. Sprague probably go to Africa too. And if we check the records, which we have the data, we're not going to put up no information out there, but we have the information. We have the information and the date and time when you not getting a vaccine and when you look at yellow slip if you go to Africa. We have it. We just don't feel like publish it. But we're going to point out the hypocrisy in an argument. Sprague, you go to Africa too. You had to get it. All I want to know. Who are beat down vaccine, every single one of them had to take it when they go to Africa. And not just that. Mark Myrie probably would have gotten somewhere in the region about 5 or 6 vaccines already. All of we in Jamaica get it. Some of we still have the mark on our hand. How we not dead yet? My mother is 75 years old or 74 years old and she still have her mark on her hand for her vaccine. She not dead. Vaccine never kill her. Back in the 50s, when poliomyelitis kill people all over Jamaica, was the pioneer. Jamaica was the poster child for the World Health Organization in fighting infectious disease through vaccine. Our vaccination program is the best in the world, and today it is still on the World Health Organization website. So we cannot listen to ignorant hypocrites like Buju and them who are fighting a political war. And I don't know why we're fighting a political war now. 49-14 should have settled the argument long ago. 49-14 should have settled that argument long ago. And you fall in line. The quicker we get the country to herd immunity is the quicker we'll be back up and running. And some of these so-called entertainers and artists who profess to be smart people, the quicker them get in line is the quicker we'll be back up and running. Because I tell you what, there is going to be a time when Buju will be vaccinated, whether I like it or not, because I'm going to want to travel to wherever I'm allowed to travel to. Spragga, the same thing. And look at these artists and come out with this bag of nonsense and criticize crime in the country and them want to run country. The community where you come from, a lot of you couldn't run it, you run left it. Take up on the foot and run down a foreign left it. After you inoculate it with guns, you run left it down a foreign and hide. And yet you don't want to run country. Prime Minister must turn over country give you because you know better how to run country. Eh? You can't run the little gangster them around and control them. The little gangsters run you can't run them, but you don't want to run country. Back up on yourself and simmer down, man. If you live in a glass house, don't throw no stone.